Alright guys, so here's the review of the Matic Explorer Homage. So I've previously reviewed a couple of other Explorer Homages from both Bliger and San Martin, so I'm going to do a bit of a comparison of this as well. So it's not just going to be a straight review, it's going to be a comparison as well. Try and find out if this Matic one, that I've been trying out for a while, is the Goldilocks of Explorer Homages. So full disclosure, I was sent the watch for free, don't have to send it back, but you know the score. Going to keep it 100% honest all the time, no matter what. So let's get right down to it and find out. So here's the packaging you'll get the Matic in. It's actually a nice watch case you can take, actually reuse, not just a box, which is always good. And then we've got warranty card, which isn't signed or dated. We've got a little Matic tag, upside down. And then in this top section, I've just put the links that I've taken out. So there's only 3 spare links, and that's to get it to fit my 7-inch wrist. So if you've got much bigger than that, could be a bit of an issue. And then they are screw links, which is nice. And here's the watch itself. So as you expect with an Explorer Homage, pretty simple, pretty plain, but let's get a zoom in and look at that dial. So you got fully printed dial, so you got the printed Matic at the top there, then mechanical at the bottom, 500 feet, 150 meters. But don't be fooled, this isn't mechanical, it's actually automatic. So the movement in this is an NH38, which is nice. They've used the NH38, which is the no date specific version, instead of the NH35. Do appreciate that. So no ghost date position. And then we've got the Mercedes style hands with that high polish. Nicely done, nice length on them as well. Same with the second hand. And as I say, everything else printed. So no applied indices. And then we've got that matte black dial. So looking at the rest of the watch, you can see we've got a high polish finish to the case, which again, really nicely done, although it is going to scuff up a little bit, as I've already kind of done slightly with this. I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit scuffed there. So that's just one of the downsides of having a polished case. Again, a bit scuffed there as well. It's easy to do, so it's a little unfortunate, but... And then you can probably just about make out, we have actually got Matic on the crown there, so it is a signed crown, although it is pretty subtly done. Easy to miss. So if I zoom out, you probably won't be able to see it. You have to look pretty closely to be able to see it. You can see there's something there, but you can't really make out what it is. So, got high polish on that bezel as well. And then with the bracelet, that's brushed on the top, polished on the sides. Same with the clasp. And then we've got screw links on that. So, nice to see that. Definitely my favourite. Definitely prefer that over push pins. When it comes to the clasp, we've got the fold over, and then friction based clasp. We haven't got the Glide Lock style clasp. We've just got the little micro adjusts inside there, which is a little bit disappointing, but you can always switch it out. You can find them on AliExpress pretty cheap. If I can find some decent ones, I'll probably link it down in the description. And then there's that display case back showing that NH38. Personally, I would have preferred it to be a solid case back, because the NH38 isn't really the best looking of movements. One thing that I would definitely change on this is these end links. So you can see we've got male end links on this. So it is going to wear a little bit larger than the lug-to-lug measurement will suggest. So seeing as we're talking about that, let's pop this down and then bring in the other two and start talking about the measurements. So when it comes to the different ones here, we've got the Bliger here on the left, the Matic in the centre, and the San Martin on the right. So I'll probably pop some dimensions up on screen now so you can see the differences between the three. So quite a few little subtle differences. So the Matic has got a slightly thicker case than the other two. That's probably because of that display case back. Again, as I said, would have been nicer to have a solid one, I think. Bring that thickness down a little bit as well. They're all 37mm diameter. They're all 20mm lug width. But when it comes to the lug to lug, there's a little bit of variation between them. So with the Bliger, we've got 45.4 lug to lug, but because this has got male end links the same as the Matic, the effective lug to lug is more like 50.5. So that's not ideal. As far as the Matic's concerned, that's got a 46.4 lug to lug, but again, male end links. So the effective lug to lug on that one is bang on 50. So interestingly, slightly smaller than the Bliger, although the actual lug to lug is a touch longer. So that's quite interesting. Wasn't really expecting that. Then as for the San Martin, this one has got the smallest dimensions of the three, so that's 44.7 lug to lug. And because that's the only one that's got female end links, that's the effective lug to lug as well. So that's definitely going to wear the best if you've got smaller wrists. But now we've got to factor in the price. So when it comes to price, there's quite a wide spread between these three. So when it comes to movement options, there's a few different variations with these. So with the Bliger, there's quite a few. You can have, I think it's a Chinese movement, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head now. You can have a Miyota 8215, you can have an NH35, you can have a PT5000, I think that's it. So quite a lot of different options. And obviously the prices vary quite a bit. I'll just give you the prices for the NH35. So the NH35 comes in at about £65. So pretty good price for what you're getting. If you go for the PT5000, that's coming in about £85. For that movement, pretty good to be fair. But we'll talk about the rest of the watch in a bit. As for the Matic, that you can get with the NH38, as I've said. That's the only movement option with that one. And the price of that is £103. But you've got better water resistance on that. You've got 150 metres. The Bliger, it only has 30, so you can't really go swimming or anything with that. So effectively, it's just splash proof. When it comes to the San Martin, we've got a PT5000 or an SW200. But the prices are quite a bit more than the other two. So you've got £213 for the PT5000, and it goes up to as much as £307 for the SW200. And that one's only got 100 metres water resistance, whereas this one's got 150. Not a great deal of difference, but it's a difference nonetheless. And again, as I said, when it comes to price, this one is about double the price of the Matic. Whereas the Matic is only about £20 more than the Bliger, or possibly a bit more than that, depending on which version you go with. If you go with the NH35, it's just a touch under double. But you've got better loom on the Matic and the San Martin. The Bliger, it's not great. So let's charge them all up. And there we go. So initially, they're all looking pretty similar, but you'll probably notice pretty quickly that the Bliger starts to fade, especially the dial, and it's quite patchy and inconsistent, whereas the Matic has got a really nice green glow with that C3. San Martin is also glowing pretty brightly with that BGW9, but it's a little bit more subtle than the C3, because it's got that ice blue. When it comes to the dials, I personally think the Matic is actually the best of the three. When it comes to the hands and the overall loom though, the Matic and the San Martin are probably about on par. Not a great deal between them. Again, it just comes down to which you prefer, the C3 or the BGW9. But as you can see now, the Bliger has faded pretty badly, and the hands have actually gone before some of the indices, which isn't ideal. There's a couple of other little subtle differences which are quite interesting between these three. So with the Matic and the San Martin, they've both got matte dials, whereas this Bliger has actually got a high gloss dial. It's also got applied indices as well, so that does differentiate it from the other two. But as I said, the lume isn't that good, even though it has applied indices. Whereas these two are both fully printed, and they both have far better lume. They are quite similar in a lot of ways, but again, the Matic is half the price of the San Martin. The only real difference being that bracelet with the female end link on the San Martin and the male one on the Matic. The other big difference obviously being the movements, so depends how much weight you put on that. But other than that, very similar spec wise and finishing and everything. So a lot of it will come down to whether you can justify paying that extra, pretty much double the price for the San Martin. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, a couple of the little subtle differences. With the clasp on this one, as I said, it's got the couple of levels of micro adjust inside. With the San Martin, you get their new style clasp, which has the normal micro adjust. But with the Bliger, you actually get a glide lock style clasp. So that's the only one of the three that actually has that option. So that is quite nice. I might swap that over or possibly pick one up for the Matic. As I've said previously, you can get them on AliExpress fairly cheaply. So should be an easy change. So all it's left to do now is show you what this is like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. And it does look really good. Exactly what you expect for an Explorer Homage. The only thing I would probably change is, as I said earlier, these end links. Would be nice to see female end links on it, but it still wears well on my 7-inch wrist because it's still got, I think it was about 50mm effective lug to lug, which is pretty much just about spot on for a 7-inch wrist. If you've got a smaller than 7-inch wrist, obviously it might be a touch big, but that's down to you, whether you prefer your watches bigger or smaller. But for me, this is pretty much spot on. So the question is, as I said in the intro, is this the Goldilocks Explorer Homage? Is it the best of both between the Bliger and the San Martin? Does it split the difference? Which do you prefer? I'll leave links to the other two if you want to check out the 4 reviews. But let me know what you think down in the comments. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.